pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everyone had a chance to look over the agenda?
Madam President, I move that we approve the agenda.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda has been approved. Moving to presentation approval of the minutes for the regular meeting, June 27th, 2022.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for June 27th.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the regular meeting minutes for June 27th, 2022. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes for June 27th have been approved. Moving to limited public forum.
Madam President, I move that we eliminate the limited public forum for this meeting, because it seems that there's no audience here.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to eliminate limited public forum due to no public audience. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The limited public forum has been dispensed. Superintendent's report, Mr. Misses.
Madam President, members of the board, good evening. I want to go ahead and start my board report by reporting that STARS reporting has been validated across the board. We had a couple of errors that needed to be fixed. I can proudly say that I learned how to do it, and we got it done, and so I think that's been a big accomplishment, considering that our STARS coordinator wasn't around. So moving forward, I will continue to get familiar with STARS, but we will have somebody else that will do it when that time comes. Moving on, pre-K funds, George and the staff, we all did a really good job in trying to spend over close to $100,000 in pre-K monies for the daycare, preschool, and so forth. And I think we got close to about 90,000 that we got.
148.12 cents.
So, and that was really good, considering they got a lot of really good things they needed in the daycare. We're gonna turf the playgrounds. That's where they have all those little stickers, and so all those will be taken away. If you drive by, you'll see that the big rolls of they look like carpet, and then there's big old piles of the foam that goes underneath. So AK Sales is gonna come down and they're gonna install that for us here pretty quick before school starts, so that we can have that playground going. And then we bought a bunch of furniture for inside, washer, dryer, refrigerator that makes ice. It's looking really, really nice, you know, and once we get it going, I'd like for you guys to take a tour and just look at it, so you can see what it is that's going on, and how you know, these kids are gonna get really good stuff from. So we're excited about it, and we started the daycare, and we're gonna keep it going strong. Our goal this year is to hopefully get our staff that's in there certified through CYFD, so that if we ever do have, any students that may have, children at home, we can actually take care of them there and get CYFP funding and so forth, so that's the goal, so we're looking to expand our daycare as it is there, and I
To the
think,
community?
well, I don't know about, the community at this point in time, we need to worry about taking care of our staff and any of our students that may have kids, and then the community will have to wait and see. I don't know that we have any room for it, because right now, just looking at projections for the coming year, we already have at least 9 young ones that are gonna be in there, and they're all staff members, kids, so, it's still, it's a work in progress, but I think we're off to a good start, it's a great place to be, and so, that's awesome. So, then I wanna just report a little bit on staffing. We had our social studies person, back down on us, at the last minute, so I reposted it, and, we got a hit, and we interviewed, we actually got 2 hits. We interviewed, set up an interview for one, and for some reason, I don't think he wanted an interview, because he couldn't get onto the Google Meet, we couldn't get him by phone. So then we interviewed the second person, and, we had a very good interview. He already had a job offer in Reno, Nevada, he had a job offer in Nebraska, and then we were the third. And so, after much negotiating with him, he went ahead and signed with us. And, I like what he put on his email when he sent it back. He says, I accept, the offer, he says, based on the fact that I feel like I'm going into a place that, expectations are realistic, and, the staff there, has students that, you know, in their hearts, and they want to do it for students. So he's very excited to get here. I did talk to Rosie today about trying to find him some housing, and so that we can get it going. And so with that in mind, we're still there with, the possibility of needing a second grade teacher. But of course, we're wanting to see what the enrollment's gonna be like. I have a really, strong gut feeling that we're gonna be, over 400 students this year, at enrollment. I'm gonna guesstimate maybe right around 420, 430. That, at that point in time, then, I haven't had anybody apply for the position, but we do know of an individual here in town that if need be, we could reach out and maybe get them on the New Mexico League, get them in the alternative, program, and get them in the classroom, pretty quick if we need to. So overall, I think we're doing really well when it comes to staffing. And then we'll come to the elephant in the room. All right, John?
Yes.
Doesn't that look?
Yeah, you did, already did it twice.
So I'd like to introduce to you guys, first and foremost, Ms. Jonathan Matthews. She was our new secretary that was hired. Now, because I'd like to introduce you guys to the new San Jose superintendent, Mr. Greg, I don't know what's your name? George has taken the job in San Jose as the superintendent there. So as a result of that, I'd like to introduce you to our new business manager. So there's been a lot of shifting, but thanks, initially your first impression is that you're a little upset, you're a little hurt, and whatever, but it is what it is, and George has been very, very good. He's gonna be with us through August 10th. He's been working really hard with Ms. Matthews to get her trained and get her to a point where he wasn't last year. And so I know they're getting a lot of things taken care of, and I'm excited about it. I think it's great opportunities for everybody. I'm very proud of George, and I'm happy for him that he's gonna be working side by side with me as a superintendent. And I'm very happy and proud for Ms. Matthews, and I change your name every once in a while.
I know, yeah.
So, Ms. Matthews or Miller or whatever, but she knows what I'm talking about. So, I think there's great opportunities. So with that in mind, we have opened up another position for an administrative assistant, and we've interviewed 2 individuals. We'll leave the position open for a couple more days, see if there's any more interest. But we had 2 good interviews. I think we have 2 great candidates, and we're just gonna wait and give it a little more time to see if we have anybody that is interested. And then we'll be prepared to make an offer, and hopefully after they give their 2 weeks notice, we'll have a full staff of the administration building. So, like I said, I'm pretty excited for all things and very proud of these two individuals for stepping up and thank George, you know, from the bottom of my heart for everything he's done for our district the year that he was here and what he continues to do, in helping us make that transition. So, it's good things going on, so congratulations, George.
Thank you, George.
Yes.
And I've enjoyed every minute here, I really have. I'm not part of the headaches and stuff, but this is a great community, great staff, and just, I mean, y'all are an incredible board, and I've worked with 5 boards, and y'all are very incredible. You're student-centered, I just think that's admirable of all of y'all. But this has been a great place to work, and, I mean, with the people and everything, and we've had a lot of good laughs, and it's, like I tell everybody, I'm just an hour and 42 minutes and 12 seconds away, so I will be back on weekends. So these people that have extra rooms at their house can put George up,
Yes.
so you're not got rid of him.
Well, Sam Hunt is very lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you.
They're very lucky to have you.
I just feel like I can do a little bit better job at that position than I have at this one, but Johnny's picking up quickly, oh my gosh. And I told her I'm gonna give her more training than I ever got, so we're gonna make sure she's good
And
to go.
she will do it.
Yeah,
wonderful.
she will.
Thank you.
So I'm very, it makes me feel good.
Yes.
I'm not, yeah, it's someone really good gonna step in.
Great.
You're gonna see good things.
Along with George as a resource program, we also have some other individuals
Yes.
that help George get to where he
Yes.
was, that'll still be there, again, on the retainer to
Be
help.
your mentor.
mentors and stuff,
Yes.
so. We learned from our mistakes, right, George?
We
So
sure did.
Make sure that we don't make the same mistakes again with somebody else, so. We're excited. It's
Yes,
good things are happening here, so.
it's
It's a
good.
good thing.
I think George created a really good look for him, and I think
Yeah.
it'll help you a lot, so.
Yeah, show her how to do things like y'all like it.
More than capable of taking it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes, yes.
So moving on, I did, George and I actually attended the New Mexico Administrators Conference, Summer Conference on July 11th and 14th. It was very beneficial, I think for both, especially for George, being that he's gonna be a new superintendent. We got to hang out with other superintendents, and something that's very alarming is we, at the end of the session, we had a luncheon for superintendents and so forth, and what they did is they lined us up by the years of experience that we had overall, and then they lined us up by the years that we've been with the same district. And while George is,
I was a minus 26, so I don't start for 26 days, they kept asking me.
So-
I'm extending so way, I said I'm a minus 26.
so the funny part is that, back in 1980, something 80, whatever, or whenever they said it was,
He was 85.
when you look at was it the medium they said, in the middle, the average of superintendents is 10 years, they've been in the position for 10 years. If you looked at that room that day, it was 2 years. And
At the same school or
just overall.
Overall,
any school?
Union School was 10 years, in New Mexico.
Yeah, and so, and then, no, it was three, for the, overall, it was 2, for being at the same district, which is 3. And the guy that was the veteran, and that was Alan Estrada, another guy, I think they were like 10 to 15 years.
One was, yeah, 15.
Sue Cleveland would have been like way over there with the Rio Rancho, because she's the only superintendent they've had. But if you look at the turnover of superintendents, it's really, really high. There was 31 new superintendents between last year and this year. How many was there this year? 9?
9 so far.
That's good.
So that makes me a veteran even at the state level now, not just here at the REC.
He's already moved up the ladder.
It was like, whoa, so, and we do have new superintendents in Roy, Springer, and I think that's it for our little area here. I think Mr. Fluman is a new superintendent in Roy, and then we have Mr. Gary Allison came from Deming, he's in Springer now. And so there's been a big turnover in superintendents all the way through, so. But like I said, it was an interesting conference. There's a lot of different things we learned. I learned something through the NMAA, and I'll touch on some athletics here in a minute. That all this time that we've been playing music in the gym before games, we can't do that. We have to have a license, copyright.
Copyright.
Districts have been getting sued for playing music before games without a license. So the NMA is looking to see about trying to pay the licenses for all the districts, because they actually use most districts for state, first round of state, whatever. And so, and then she said the question is, how come they can do it at the pit when they can do it at Santa Ana? Because those facilities actually have a license to be able to do that.
So we will get that?
Well, it's not a
How
we
do
will.
we get it?
Well, if they don't get it for us, we're probably gonna have to pay for it, and for a little district our size, it can be like $150 to $200, it's not too bad.
Let's get
But,
it.
if the NMAA is gonna,
Can we get a waiver?
no, I ain't gonna
This is copyright in the United States.
You know,
Let's get our own
to
thing
wait for
banned.
someone to do that, that is so important to our kids,
Right.
our students, and it gets them so excited, it's
So-
worth the money.
So I'm sure I'll get more information this next week when I go to the AD's meeting, on all that stuff, so I'll report back to you guys. And then right in the middle of my report, I put haircut, because George says I need a haircut. But that's not where
I
that's not where I'm
I
heading with
look
this.
down when he takes his hat off. I look
This is
down.
not where I'm headed with this. Okay, so every time I go to Albuquerque, I go to Sports Clips and I get a haircut there because there's really not a place to get a haircut here. I mean, so I was talking to the regional manager there and I was telling her that I was a superintendent in Clayton, and I was telling her that, you know, a lot of our kids have to travel to go get haircuts and so forth. And so what we're gonna try to get off, try to pull off here is that she says she's willing to bring a mobile barber shop to Clayton, like on one of the weekends right before school starts, and give our students and teachers, you know, haircuts here, and see if they can help us out. So I'll be talking to her, to see if we can get her down here, either like the week right before school starts for the kids, or like right when the teachers, maybe that week where we thought when the teachers have those 2 work days, if they wanted to get a haircut, then they can, you know, get there and so forth. She was very gracious in offering that, and she says, you know, it's something that's very doable, it's good for them, it's good for us. And so I'm gonna reach out and communicate with her a little bit more to see if we make that happen, and then we'll advertise it through the webpage, Facebook, newspaper, whatever, and see if we can help out the community with that, and see where we go with it. But I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, even if it, I mean, they're the ones taking the chance here, not us. We're just gonna provide the customers, and they're the ones that are coming down here, understanding that there may not be too many, but then again, there may be a lot. Just never know. And then sports clip is, I think, something that the young kids really like, because, you know, they can do whatever you want on the side of your head or whatever else, and you get creative with it and so forth. So that's where we're at. That's why I put haircut on.
Can we throw in an opportunity for any high school seniors or juniors that want to work and do some extra learning there with them? Because we need some here in Clinton.
Right.
Apparently.
Well, that was kind of like the goal of trying to partner up with Mesa Lands, but the funny part, after we got that resolution and everything done, it's kind of like gone dead. And so I was gonna reach out next week to the president there to see where we're at, because one of the things that was on the list that we wanted to see about doing was cosmetology, and seeing if we can get, you know, more individuals in Clayton that would be willing to do it. I think it's a great profession. The other thing that I see that would be a great opportunity here in Clayton is just getting yourself a little shop where you change the oil in a car and tires and so forth, because you have to, I have to leave town just to find somebody to do what I need done.
Well, we do have those people, but I think that they are so busy
Yeah.
that it's
So-
hard to get,
Get up one.
it may get hard, but we do have some, you know, people who do that in town, and,
So there's great opportunities, and CTE is something that at one point in time, they wanted to kind of push all kids to a 4-year college. Now they're realizing that all these little years that went to a 4-year college became doctors, and they need some people to do the other stuff for them also. So it's like, CTE is something that's on the way back, and we really need to look at embracing that and getting things done. Like, one of the things that George and I were talking about today, Vince and I and George were by, and Mr. Funk were by, and we were starting to pick up our stuff that we bought from PR for making the t-shirts. And then now they're selling another, or they make the big banners, remember the banners that he used to make? And George was saying, you know, that could be something where we could actually start a class, a CTE class with that. And then next year, ask for funding and show them this is what we're doing here in Clayton. And there's a very strong possibility that'll get funded, but even if it doesn't get funded, if we have the materials, we have the teachers to do it, there's no reason why not to do
And
it.
can you sell those things?
Yeah.
I mean, sell the t-shirts and stuff like that, because it's really hard to find.
It'll save us money on our own t-shirts, and then we can turn around and reach out to this other districts and say, hey, we can get you t-shirts, at a better price than other places. And so, yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. It's up to what we do with it. The plan is, talk to Mr. Callis, is to go pick up the big machine, that does the screening, hopefully tomorrow, and we're gonna put it in room 11. That's gonna be right next to what the art room was, but now it's gonna be more computers, because it's gonna be like digital art. And so, that's gonna go hand in hand where he can actually use that machine for the screening as a class to show kids how to do it and so forth, and go from there. And maybe the goal is to hopefully start our own screening store here in Clayton High School, so that we can, raise some money in that.
I do believe that, I think it was, Brendan and Mike Doherty to do that in Springer.
Mhm.
And so they know it might be the, resource to reach out to see how they did that.
Oh,
How they-
we got Mr. Funk, he used to do it too.
Oh, good.
So he's,
Great,
he
great.
had his own thing there, so. So, let's talk a little bit about athletics. Like I said, this next week, the 25th, I will be attending the mandatory AD meeting. Along with me, I'll have Coach Montoya, Coach Sanchez, and Coach Cisneros that will attend the clinics that they need to do. Dakota and Mr. Fung will attend theirs virtually, because you have a choice between the two. And just so you'll know, I don't know why this has been the way it's been. A lot of the times, well, I guess I gotta set the table for this. On July 25th, at between 7 and 9 o'clock, Coach Waters is gonna be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Finally. One of the hiccups that was going on with Coach Waters is that, for whatever reason, all the years that he was in Clayton, he was never a member of the Coaches Association, because the dues weren't paid for him, or he didn't pay whatever it was. In talking to Buster, the guy who's in charge of that, he says that 99% of the schools, what they do is they pay $1,000 per year, and that covers all coaches to be able to go to all the clinics for free and everything else. For whatever reason, Clayton's never done that. They kind of like do individual coaches and this and that. And so this year, I talked to George, and we came up with the decision that we're just gonna pay $1,000, so that all our coaches can be members of the Coaches Association, and in the long run, it's gonna pay off, because then they can attend all the clinics throughout the year, because they have them in summer, and yeah. And so, that's what we've done. And so, like that, our coaches are free to go and attend. And so, like I said, Coach Waters will be inducted on Monday, the 25th. Claudia will be there, I will be there, and of course, our coach Clayton will be there. So, we're excited about that. And so, there's just a lot of things gonna go happen. When I get back, I will report to you guys what changes are. One of the big changes for athletics is that they no longer have the limits on us, that we can only quote unquote practice for 7.5 hours a week. Now it's up to us how we do it. And there's no limitations, it's up to the school. One of the other things that they've been telling us is that, like, it's expected for us to have an administrator at all home games, but in an instance where, let's say, it's us and Santa Rosa playing in Santa Rosa, we're rivals, they're gonna be expecting, some of us to send administrators to Santa Rosa. For us, it's not a problem, because we're already there anyway, we go to everything. But when Santa Rosa comes here, then they're gonna be expecting Santa Rosa to send an administrator to Clayton for in case we have any issues. And they did talk about, the NMA, if we wanna ban a fan that gets out of control or whatever, let's say we wanna ban them for a year or whatever, the NMA is gonna back us up on stuff like that. So there's just a lot of different changes. I already told you about Dragonfly and how we're gonna be utilizing that instead of Arbiter. And so, like I said, this next week will tell a lot of what's going on with it. Go ahead, George.
Someone's honking at John.
Again.
No, they weren't.
Oh,
First we waved at.
update on the track, we've run into a little bit of a problem. I got a call from Jose last week telling me that our track was gonna be pushed back a year. Because they, supposedly they couldn't find a construction company that would come in and demo and take out the old track and then get it ready, do the groundwork, the dirt work, and get it ready for the other company to come in and do it. So I took it upon myself to, look around, so I called the county, and, you know, that was a starting point for me, and I talked to Brandy to ask her if she knew anyone, or if maybe they could do it, whatever, and I kinda knew they wouldn't be able to, but then she, and by the time she got back to me, I had already got McNaughton's, so I sent that number to them. But then, they also brought Todd Collins' name up, and so I called Todd myself, and I explained to him what the situation was, and how they would push it back if we couldn't find someone, and Todd said, hey, I'm willing to do it. So I sent that, I forwarded, Jose his number, he's gonna forward it to Mr. Fisher, and hopefully we can get that thing done still, before football season starts. But, they told me that they couldn't find anybody that would really that could actually really do it. They looked in Dalhart and Dumas and so forth, and I also sent some other company from Raton. So I think there's options, so I'll keep you posted on that, but, you know, I just don't think we
How
can
long
wait.
does that take?
28 days, the biggest part of it is going to be the demoing it, getting it out of there, getting all the old stuff out, and getting the dirt work done and ready and prepared for whenever they come in, because basically they just come in and they put it kinda like the way they do a highway. And so I think the biggest part of it is gonna be that, but whatever happens with Todd Poling and that company, that's between them, we have nothing, I just found somebody that would be willing to do it. He would be like a subcontractor to them, and they would work their, logistics out, and it's not anything we did. But I just thought that I had to basically take the initiative to try to find somebody, because I just didn't want, you know. And, I know something that you guys I've already talked about the music, playing music and leaving copyright issues and so forth. But before George leaves and so forth, we're looking to see how much we can increase, meal allocations for student athletes. Okay, and so, I'll get back to you on that one. I think George and I will talk a little bit more and see what we can get done, because I do think that we need to increase those for, you know, for our kids, with the prices of everything going up and so forth. We may have to get a little bit more creative on raising more money and so forth, but I think the community's at a point where they're willing to help out where we need for our kids, so, I think we're in a good place, so. That's all I have for athletics at this point. Like I say, I'll have more for you guys after next week when I attend that meeting, but if you guys have any questions.
When would you know the enrollment numbers?
We'll have enrollment numbers first day of school when kids come in, but usually what we go off of is our 40th day. And that's when we do our start reporting. And so they use the 40th and the 80th to determine what our projections that we used for our budget this year was 369, but we ended the year with 389. And I already know of at least 6 students that are coming back from Texline. They're gonna be coming back to Clayton. I know that the warden has, him and his, lieutenant or sergeant, they have, I think, 6 there. 3 each, and then there's a family that moved in that has 5 kids, and they'll be coming, and then just others that I've just heard here or there. I think we're losing a couple too, but we're also gaining a lot more, and I still don't think we have a real number on how many kids we're gonna have for preschool yet. We did do the child find, but that doesn't mean that they all attended it, and a lot of parents tend to wait. I always say projections, I would say whatever came and attended, add another 10 to it, because I think that's what happens. And so I really do, I think I definitely know we're gonna be over 400. Where we're gonna be at, I'm not told, but you guys will be the first to know when we do get over 400. Something to brag about, I think. So, if not, then I'll move on to Maintenance, projects, Tim and I attended a virtual meeting with, the guys from Living Design, they're the ones that are gonna be doing our facility master plan. We attended this on the 12th, like I said, it was remote, I was in Albuquerque, Tim was here, and Doug was in Taos, and so that was just a kickoff meeting. We'll have another meeting on August 16th to get things going, and, he's, asking for like blueprints and stuff that we need to provide him and so forth. But they basically do the bulk of the work for the facility master plan. Tim and Doug, they're supposed to get together and they're supposed to, look at, the list of, projects that were supposed to be done in the last 5 years, and see what has been done and what hasn't been done, and then from there, we create our list of what we wanna get done in the next 5 years, and we move forward from there. And, so, it is what it is. I'm not happy about paying that amount of money for it, but it is something that we have to do, so, well,
There's nothing that has to go on this next election, right? I know
I don't
the
think so,
SB 9 money was on the last one.
right? So they fell in for, that's good for the next 2 years.
So, but isn't there the HB 33 money, that doesn't have to go through a general election, or?
I think you have to apply for it every 2 years.
So, yeah, I think that's what you have to do.
Because I haven't seen anything like that. I don't know if we need to look at that to see if that has to be renewed for this new election.
Well, I usually, the Cuddy's the one that usually does that with us too. They're the ones that help us prepare for all that, so.
And we still have him on, so we could ask him, and the clerk's office should also know, but.
Cause I really don't know, like, that's why we're doing the facility master plan, I think, to see what is there, what projects we do need to look at. I
If
know
there's
that-
an August deadline or something on that?
They let that SB 9 drop, didn't they, and then you got it back.
No, it was there, the only thing they did last year is they wanted us to renew it this last election, so it would fall into the regular election.
Yeah.
Instead of, it'd be out, also, it's good to go for 2 years.
So, okay, so since that HB.
So it's not on its
33
own
money-
out there.
No, but that might leave the HB 33 monies to look to see if
That's
those are.
that's the HB 33
And I don't
monies.
even know if they have to be on there, but it might be worth checking.
I'll check it out.
Okay.
I'll look into it. So, like I said, we're gonna get started, he's projecting to get this, facility master plan done by early next year, between January and, May or March, in that area there. Seems like a really nice guy, like I said, I've known him from the past, not him personally, he's one of his employees, we refereed together, worked together. I worked with them when I was in Cuesta, they did a project there for us there in Cuesta, so, I'm pretty familiar with them. They're good guys, they do a good job, so. And I've already talked to you guys about the track repair. The last thing I just really wanna talk about is that, I don't know if you guys have driven around or, paid any notice to the grounds, but, we did bring on, an extra, maintenance guy. He's in charge of all the grounds, grass, weeds, and everything else, and I had a meeting with him, and I told him, you're the man. I says, if I see a weed that's out of place, I'm calling you. From that point on, that poor guy's been on that more, he does a great job, and the crew, they've all been working really well together. Today, they were, finishing off the cafeteria, waxing it, buffing it, and they did the student lounge, and I think the facilities are a little, furniture's here and there, but floors look really nice, and I think by the time the 15th, when we got here, and I was talking to Levi, I think us starting on the 15th for teachers is a good thing for our custodial staff too, because they can go off, do their vacations, and know that they still have a little bit of time to come back and get the buildings in order. I think overall, it's a win-win that we decided not to do the extended school year. I have talked to a lot of different districts, and they're not happy about it. And basically, they said that their superintendent basically shoved it down their throat, and they were asking how we pulled it off, and we just basically told them, listen to our staff, and we feel like, that's what's in the best interest for them and for our students, because in the springtime, everybody getting tired.
Does that include the after-school, the extended day?
What's that? No, it's, no. The extended school years, they add 10 days to the calendar.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it has nothing to do with your after-school program. The after-school program will still go like we did last year.
So will that after-school program still take place on those Wednesdays, those early release days?
That's a good question.
I don't think it's going to, no. It'll have to be 2 days and it'll have to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Because Wednesday, the reason for that is because we were taking too much time from the teachers to do PLCs early in the morning before or after school. And with the Wednesdays off, now we have that extra time to be able to do a lot of professional development PLCs. Not to mention, we'll be able to use it as a consequence for students that don't behave. We can give them Wednesday school. So when all their friends are going home early on Wednesday, we will have a staff member that has them there, and it doesn't impact them like a detention would, in-school detention, because it's not taking them out of the classroom. We're not suspending them. And that's another thing that we learned at this administrators is that New Mexico is pushing to, they have an initiative going where they're trying to do away with suspensions and expulsions. Because, I mean, starting my career, I thought that was the way to go, and then I learned as I went through from older, wiser people that just because you suspend a kid for 3 days doesn't mean you solve the problem. All you did is get a vacation for 3 days, then the problem's gonna come back after that. All we need to do is we need to find ways to help these kids to be successful in school, whether it's through social work or mental health issues, whatever it may be. We're just dealing with a totally different breed of student nowadays because most of them, over 70% are probably coming from broken home. And so there's just a lot of different issues.
Is there a way for those people concerned about what to do with their children on Wednesdays? I know that busing wouldn't be available after they were picked up at 1:30, but is there anything that is, I don't know, maybe a possibility of that after-school program also taking place on Wednesdays? I mean, is that something
I'd have
that
to
you would
discuss
look
it
at?
because then it defeats the purpose of trying to get the Wednesdays off to be able to give
Sure.
us the time to.
But I mean, if it's, I don't know if it would be like, I know all staff is involved in the PLC, but I don't know. I mean, it may not be possible, but if it's a way to.
I guess the question I have, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic in any way or shape or form, but what were they doing the last year when we didn't have after-school program?
No, I'm talking about from that 1:30 period to, you know what I mean? And I don't know, and still they have to, those kids usually get home before their parents do anyways,
Mhm.
even if it's the regular school day. I'm just wondering, I mean,
Come
it's a
with
little
that
bit
extra
longer.
2 hours.
Yeah, the extra 2 hours. And I mean, I know we can't be responsible for all that, but I don't know,
I mean, it's like,
it just may be a concern, and I just wonder how we can answer that to how we can answer our parents, And it may not be, I'm just.
I haven't had any buddy call, because I did put the calendar on the website, and so far nobody's called,
Okay.
anything about it, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it may not be, I just wondered if.
The need that we saw was that, the deal with the professional development, and then the other thing that was there, that kind of was like a freebie that we didn't really realize when we thought about it, is that we have that leverage over some kids now that we don't have to suspend them. We don't have to take, because a lot of kids, when you tell them to go into detention, they want to go to detention, because they don't want to be in the classroom. But if you take their time, which is usually gonna be lunch or after school, or in this case, a Wednesday school, you wanna get their attention a little better than any other way, so.
Well, and too, like, just kind of contradicting myself, but, when we had Fridays, parents had to figure out what to do with students on Fridays off, or our vacation days. But I didn't know if that had been a question.
And as for our staff, because they're still here, of course, our daycare will be open for them, so
Yeah.
they have their kids taken care of.
That's kind of why I brought up that daycare with, expand it to the community, because I know there's a huge problem in our community right now with daycare for these younger parents.
But even with daycare, you
I
gotta,
don't know if the school can answer that.
you're still gonna have to follow the rules of, like caseload on how many kids you can have.
I know, I just threw that in there because I've heard from numerous young parents that it is living, hard to find
Right.
daycare for their kid, and they're getting grandparents to help them out, and
Well, and
What
one of
have
our,
you.
one of our most, our babysitters that has been here the longest, she's retired.
Well, the other thing that's a possibility, and maybe there's even a way that.
and I don't even know if the school can address it.
Maybe there's and let me talk to the staff, but maybe there's a possibility that maybe through the school and giving credits to some of these older kids, that they can maybe set some of the younger kids on a Wednesday afternoon for a couple hours.
Yeah,
So, but we have to have that discussion.
yeah, well, and two, maybe it's something that like, the city or some place needs to think about.
Well, I think they really need, in this community, this goes beyond the school district,
Yeah.
but I think they sure need to address that at some point, because it's kinda getting serious
Oh,
among
it
the
is,
younger
it is.
parents.
Well, yeah.
I hear a lot of,
And there's already, notices we need working here and here, you can't afford to lose more people because they don't have daycare.
and I'm sure hate to lose.
And that was the reason why we started the daycare, because we would have lost some teachers last year if we didn't have something to do, have something, there in place for them. And I think that, based on the need that we had to keep our teachers, I think it created a situation where it was a great situation, because I see our neighboring district is following suit. Text Line started a daycare for their staff too, so, sky's the limit, and I think that we do like I say, I've always said it, my number one priority are the students and the staff of this district, and so I will, I'm trying to, lighten the load on our staff in the areas that I can, so that they can be better and more effective teachers when they are in front of our students, and I think we're gonna see great results with this new calendar. I think, staff is gonna be, they're already excited about it, but I think they're gonna be, pretty good throughout the year. Of course, everybody gets started at the end of the year, but they're not gonna be as tired as they were this last year.
Yeah.
And I truly think that,
Nobody wants to do PLCs on a Friday.
no one wants to do them, or at 7 o'clock in the
Or
morning.
after school.
Or
Yeah.
7 o'clock in the morning after
Right.
school's hard, when you're already
Yes.
tired of a long day. And so now, we get to do them on Wednesdays, take our time and do them, and get things done.
Has there been any more report on that, your idea about getting the teacher started, how?
Well, it's still going. I think it's just an issue of, the government, moving and giving us the money, because there's still stuff, there's still, the talk is still there, we're still, because we qualify, you said, for four. And so it's just a matter of the money and the initiative being pushed forward so that we can get it done.
Our name's on the list, and every time we meet, it gets brought up by all the
Okay.
superintendents, the teachers, and the funding, every time.
I think with daycare, one of the biggest things is the liability. Is there a possibility that the school could share, if they do a training with the instructor, or something, that they could piggyback on our liability or something like that? If there's some kind of training that we can make sure that they follow the rules, something like that.
Well, what the goal is gonna be this year is, I wanna make sure that we get the ladies that are doing daycare certified through CYFD. And there's how we get yours covered.
And if
So-
somebody that's private, maybe they could do that too, and it would help
Sure,
them
yeah.
start the school.
Yeah, we're willing to help whoever, whatever resources we have, we can share with whoever. I mean,
I think that's the biggest thing that's stopping people, they can't afford this.
because it's a win-win, for everybody,
Yeah.
so, yeah, we're willing, I've always said it, we're willing to share any resource we have. All they have to do is, if I'm aware of it, I'll extend the limb out there, but if I'm not, I need people to let me know, hey, is this a possibility? And I'm more willing to help out with anything that we can do to help the community. Because that's what it takes a community, it takes a village to educate our kids, and when you have a healthy community, you're gonna have healthy kids. anything that we can do as a district, we will do it. But of course, if you mess with our district, you'll find out there's a tiger in your hands too, though.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
it's a dual-edged sword, so, but I'll help out with whatever. That is the end of my report, guys, sorry it took so long, George.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we're going to board communications, discuss the consideration for disposal of school vehicles.
Yes, let me see, where's my?
Are these two down here for auction off, or the only two?
Okay, so, Madam President, members of the board, we have a list of all the activity vehicles that Mr. Durbin got put together for us here, of what we have right now. He's got, at the top of the list is Unit 35, is the only vehicle in the school district that is actually a 4x4. And so I kinda like told him that's not on the chopping block, because we need to have something that's 4x4. And so he went based on the year and the mileage that these vehicles have on them. And his recommendations would be that we, if we're gonna delete any, that we do Unit 36 and Unit 50. And so, I wanted to bring it up for, discussion. This kinda ties into us, getting rid of things that we need to get rid of, when it comes time, so that we don't have to come up with a big old thing like this, 10 years down the road and so forth. I don't think we need as many Suburbans as we had in the past. We just don't have the need for them. The other thing it does, it cuts back on the insurances,
Yes.
what we're liable for and
Yes.
so forth. And so, these are the ones that, again, listening to my expert for transportation, Mr. Durbin, these are the ones he's recommending that we auction off or do whatever we need to do.
When you say auction off, like, how does that work? Do we just,
Well, we have to, there's a process that we
It's a
have to go through.
procedure.
Yeah, and then we have to go through the state and everything else, that needs to the auditor's office, and then we have to, put them out for bid in whatever gives us whatever the highest.
I mean, is that like you put it out to bid, just to the public?
Kinda like police department or fire department.
Yeah, you place put it out there,
Government auction is what it is.
That's right.
so,
They go by those procedures.
yeah, so that's what we have to do. And then I'm not gonna lie to you, we're looking at probably, getting rid of some other ones there, cause look at the mileage on some of these, they're way up there. And 2001 happens to be our oldest one, but it's only one that's four-wheel drive too, so. It's got 106,000 miles on it, Unit 46 got 110,000 on it. And Paul, I remember bringing it to you guys a couple of board meetings back. Paul wanted to develop some kind of a procedure and wanted the board to help come up with a procedure on how we would determine how we would get rid of vehicles when we deemed that they were too old or too much mileage and that maybe they weren't reliable anymore. But
My personal belief on that measure is that, like, we need some determination from the administration, your office, as to how many Suburbans you think we need. And I think from now on, I do not know why we don't have 4x4s on every one of them in this community. That's ridiculous to me, to have a 2020 or 19 with 21,000 on it, it's not even a four-wheel drive.
it's good on gas.
Probably because it was cheaper. That could be the only reason.
Yeah, but I mean,
That doesn't.
Common
Yes,
sense.
in fact, the price is cheaper. if
but
it's-
common sense would tell you in this area, we need a four-wheel drive.
Wouldn't it be better to switch that where you have one two-wheel drive and the rest four-wheel drive? I mean, I think there's a reason to have one two-wheel drive.
Right, no, yeah, you're right.
Rather than on the highway.
Well,
I think you should have majority, well, I should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree totally with you, because like I said, I was,
Cause you can't go anywhere in a two-wheel drive anymore if there's a little bit of snow or
You got to
something.
take a kid with you, they can push.
What about these pickups? Are these pickups four-wheel
John,
drive?
good luck with that. Don't put that
They're
in
not
there.
four-wheel
Paul's
drive.
is in four-wheel drive and Tim's is in four-wheel drive.
Why?
They look four-wheel drive, but they're not.
No, they look
None of
like
them
they
look
do
it.
all the time.
And like I said, I was being sarcastic about the white Suburban, but it is awesome on gas, huh? It is awesome on gas. We went from here to Albuquerque, we went to E, we went everywhere we needed to go, and we were still right by, half a tank.
So gas is not the issue.
And
That
gas,
big tank.
yeah, and $60 to fill it on, with the prices the way they are, I'm serious, that car is awesome
Well, they had
on
to have a tank
gas.
to fill.
But it's gonna go out to,
So at your busiest time of the year, how many Suburbans are you using? That, given a week, say a week's time, how many are you using?
4 maybe,
Four.
Maybe. I think
maybe.
we had, yeah.
We have a
Three, I
white
think
one,
it's three.
you know, maybe 3 more. I think the busiest time could be during, like
Spring.
FFA or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But my thoughts, and Claudia brought this back because she went on vacation to LA and they bought one of these, or they rented a cargo van, that's
It's
all-wheel
transits,
drive,
the
the
Ford
transit van.
transits.
And she is able to fit, how many, she said, about
Oh my
15
gosh.
people in there. And the gas was like
They're
awesome, and she said they're all-wheel drive, and she says there's no reason, like, I'm gonna, like, for the softball and baseball tournament that they went to Santa Rosa 3 days in a row, almost $1,300 in
For our gas, our diesel.
and if we was to have one of these transit vans and be able to take just our varsity team there with their coaches in there and haul them all in a van, we'd save that much money on fuel alone. So those are some things to consider. Other things to consider in replacing some of these big vehicles is, I'd like to see about getting some gators for our maintenance people, our custodians, so they can use something that doesn't use so much gas instead of a full-size vehicle to go back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
I
So,
remember they used to.
and have them equipped with a blade in the front so they can sweep the snow off the sidewalks instead of having Tim use the tractor to do it and knocking over the wall or damaging the sidewalks or doing it by hand.
There used to be a car too. Could have sworn there was a little car
So,
as part of this. Do you remember that?
so those are just some ideas for the future, but I think for right now, we wanna look at, start, deleting some of these vehicles that we probably could afford to do and save a little bit of money, while doing that, and then, get it to a point where we have only what we need, and then start looking at other vehicles that maybe the maintenance crew could use, or even one of those transit vans that we can send, out that way, so we don't have to spend that much money on diesel on our activity buses. So, but that's we just wanted to bring that to your attention, and eventually, maybe for the next board meeting, we can get it approved, so you guys can give us your blessing to, put them out for auction. Okay, thank you.
We can't vote on it. It's not a vote.
Discussion.
Just a discussion, I just put it.
This decision.
Anything further on the disposal of school vehicles? Okay, moving on to report on communications with county and city officials. John and Ray and myself attended the county commissioner meeting yesterday, and it went really well. I just basically, told them what we discussed about, trying to join those 3 entities, the county, the city, the school, to see what we can do to make a plan, for maybe next summer, but also, we talked about, maybe it could extend to other things like after-school, activities or something, so that might help with some of those issues. So they were very open, and they said, yes, of course. I asked that they, let their staff know to see if there was somebody who wanted to participate in that joint committee, and, they were going to, Brandy was going to let the staff know and see who would be interested in participating and stuff. And, but they were really nice, they were really for it, they thought it was a great thing. I am on the agenda, John may not know, did I tell you?
Yes.
Or John,
August
just
the
push
10th.
me. August the 10th, we're on the agenda for the city council. Oh, that's right. I forgot. So anyway, same thing, we'll approach them and ask them to be a part of it and join in there. So, we'll hopefully see where it goes there. I did make it kind of clear that we did not want to put any more, any experience with summer recreation, so she could definitely help us out or be on that committee, whatever. But, we didn't wanna put more work on employees, we just thought it was something that we could do a better job of.
So, does the county still do the grant and then they give the money to the entity that runs it?
That's what we will make sure we,
'Cause that's what they used to do.
So whenever, they kinda ask me, like, so what we would do with these meetings, so I said, for example, if the school provides the facilities, the cafeteria, transportation, then maybe the county would find the grants money, help with the staffing, put, that the city may have facilities to use, that, so whenever the committee comes together, that's what we'll do. We'll make a commitment to each other to say, this is what we have to offer. And I know that the county has in the past done
The entire grant and they just hand it over
Yes.
to the entity?
yeah. So, but I think every one of us, like, have
I
some,
think they're willing to help also, not just give us the grant.
yeah, not just with the grant, but they're gonna,
Provide
hopefully.
staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see whenever we can get it together. I thought after the city council meeting, I would give them, a couple weeks to maybe put out their notice to their employees. And then hopefully by September 1st, check back in with them and say, okay, who do you have, and let's get this started, because it does take a while, but, I told them even maybe, during Christmas break, or, there's a lot of possibilities. I think it could go in, hopefully, a lot of directions, so. Anyways,
A good meeting.
yes,
Very good
great,
meeting.
they were very,
Yes.
they were very receptive. Any questions? So by the August meeting, I'll let you know how it went at the city. But I can't imagine anyone not wanting to participate in something for the kids. Okay. If there's no more discussion on that, we'll move on to financial matters and consideration approval of financial reports.
Okay, I put it in one big file this time, there's a couple other ones, but I put it in one big file. And if you start off on it, you can see how it starts off, the board and I showed, Johnny this too, Ms. Matthews that this is the way I kind of presented the board, and trying to get to more, make it more simpler, because I have to do it for myself. But I have to point out, I'm still, I've still got still have a few little problems from when we moved our money from New Mexico Bank and Trust, because the new bank gave us blank checks with nothing on them. So when I mailed out checks, they came out of the investment instead of the student activity account, because they're all blanks. So that was my fault, mistake, we got them all corrected. And so I just showed you, we had to transfer money. When it cleared the investment, I just transferred it over from, student activity to balance it out. So that's why that shows you, we're gonna start off, I had to give as Raymond said, I set the table. Set the table. And that's why you'll look, we'll start off with the investment account. It shows there's only 69,901, but there's not, there's 74,243, because I made that transaction after our statement came out. So that transaction's already made, so it's already back up to what it's supposed to be, 74,243.33. So then you go to student activity, said it had 161,283.93. Really, at that time it did, but I had to take the money out to move it over. So the truth value is 157,208.93. You see that? So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. When you go through the statements, you can see that. And I even listed the checks. You see how I messed up on them. But I had to handwrite everything in and do all that. So I did that. Our athletic, and we ended because this is at the end of June. So we ended the year with, because we didn't have hardly anything else, no, we didn't spend anything in July out of athletics, we're supposed to start. But we had $20,679.21 left, and that's our student travel account. So, and everything else that comes out, so we did good. And I think this time last year, there was maybe 14 or 13,000 we started off with. So we didn't really, raise it, but it's showing that, we did a little bit better. So like I was telling, that's when I was talking to Ray about, I know we can up it to at least $15 from meals, maybe 16, that one. But I think we have the funds that we just gotta keep. We have good concession stands this year that really worked out and helped contribute. We just gotta keep coming up with ways so we can keep doing that. So I wanted to point that out. And then, of course, our operational account ended $3,262,846.29. We did receive our check, our $444,657.25 on June 27th. Now, if you look, and I always like, and I was showing this to Ms. Matthews, but I always like to list, this time I listed the top 12, because we had big checks, and you have to remember, payroll is big, extra big this year because we pay June, teachers get 4 checks instead of 2, so you get the July month, so it's kind of, so that's why I do payroll, and I'm sending off taxes this next month. We're gonna see next month, when we report all the taxes we pay, for everybody, then the employees had to pay too, those are big checks. But if you notice that of course, the very bottom one, that's what, that $176,557.04, that's, just, all of those are direct deposits. So that just shows you what we spent there. It goes up with our retirement and our insurance, Wells Fargo is also the insurance. And they go all the way up to taxes there, so those are gonna be bigger next time. And then, of course, these are, that SHI, number 4, international, we spent $71,000, those are those new laptops. And that came, out of that, our money, that's some of our federal money, but it's now operational. And then, of course, our O&O, that's a bus contractor, and we had to pay off the rest of that contract, so we did that. CES, that right there's part of the pre-K money we spent. So a lot of this money that I'm showing in the white area, that's all out of our grant money and stuff, so that's really good, because it goes in our account. And then, of course, that $33,932.59, that's that living designs that we're doing our master facilities plans. So we had, we were forced to do. But it's better than the first 3 bids of $55,000 and $60,000. So I appreciate Mr. Ray, they're doing a great job on that. So that goes all the way down there. Now, we don't have any bars or transfers this time. So, and then after, I got some other things to talk about, but that's, if you have any questions about our financials, I do have some other things to show you. I'll do that after the vote.
It's very well self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Rich.
This helps me out every month. I'm trying to see where.
Helps us too.
I do my own personal, when I have it color coded every month, my wife makes fun of me, that's okay. But, she just checks her debit card and see what she's got in there.
What's wrong
But,
with that?
I know she likes it, so it's good. As long as it don't go over, I'm happy too with it. So, but, yeah, I like doing that, and I was showing, I think Johnny did too. We're like, man, this, it's just simple to do. Yeah, I've always done that wherever I've
Well,
been.
let's just have a sneak peek into your mind.
Yeah, some days you wouldn't want to.
It's scary at times.
Don't answer that. But I guess, yeah, because I have a few other things I want to show you, but I'll do that after this right here.
Madam President, I move that we approve financial reports.
It's been moved and seconded to approve financial reports. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving financial reports, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Financial reports have been approved. Can we dispense of the bars and transfers? There are no bars and
Not, you don't have
transfers.
to vote anything on it, because there's nothing listed on there. So you're
Do
good
we
there.
have to dispense of the
Yeah, I
item
don't-
though on
I don't-
the agenda? Okay.
I think so.
Okay, so we will not.
Then I put extra, oh, good, I did vote.
We're, go ahead.
Good, okay.
Something
I put
that's-
some extra things, I like doing this, because at the end of the year, all those RFRs that I have, because it just blows my mind away how we do it here in the state, which I voiced my opinion while we were in Albuquerque, and said, shut up, I'm holding. But how we have to spend money before we get our federal money that the state got way back a year ago that's sitting in their bank account. So we had money, so we did, so if you open up the RFRs, and I said it's extra information on financials, but I like showing stuff like this, because I think it's very transparent.
It's a,
But
the other colored one, there's a little.
Yeah, it says it's not within the packet.
Extra-
It
extra
wasn't in the-
information.
Yeah, so it should be at the, now the paper ones is at the very end, we stuck them at the very end of those. But it shows, all the FRRs are like the Title I money we got, which was $130,000. The entitlement IDEAB, you should, okay, those kinds, our preschool, IDA, all of those right there are on there. But if you look, and I don't know why I like doing this, but, it just shows you for the year, we brought in $781,646.54 out of that grant money. And we still have money, because we left a lot of it, we left 20%, left it, whatever we could leave for the rollover, which will add to the newest ones coming out. So I just wanted you to see that that's what we collected over the year with Gene. Well, we're still collecting some of this money because they're so slow about sending our money after we get, but I got approved on all of them. And some of them, we had to fight to get approved. Oh, yeah, Ped and I went around and around, and the lady that's been helping me, Maria, she had called them too, she'd straighten them out, because that woman knows more than anything I've ever seen. She goes, and what's sad is when I called Ped, the lady I talked to, she goes, well, I've only been here 3 months, and I don't think this is allowable. I said, it is allowable. I read the thing, it's our after-school program, it was allowable, because we put in our grant rewards for our students, we did a pizza thing. See, they just get all bent out of shape when the food's involved, it just makes me so mad. I said, that was in there, and we got approved by the PED back in January, so no, we argued, and I lost a few, but I won some of them. So that was just, I like that, I just got, they're gonna be messing with our money, and they try to. So, that's that report.
Johnny Lynn, can you be real tough like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've already taught her when we leave some tapes in place, they go, maybe call one post, because he'll call for me too. So I will fight for Clayton also, because that's all of us in the state, and we have to
Really?
do that.
It shouldn't be,
Yeah.
shouldn't be a fight.
They should just give it like it's our money.
Yes.
But that makes us mad. Then I gave you this, we need to do this 955 form, which I didn't realize it is a big one, because, it's about our bonds and stuff and our payments. So if you look at that, I just want y'all to see that, that's what we turned in, because it shows our payments kind of what we owe. Enough, I've got to make my July payment for this month, because we got a $500,000 payment, like we did back in January, February. So we have to remind me, 500,000, we got the invoice for it. But this could, you go all the way down to the bottom, because we didn't sell it, this is telling if we're gonna be selling, we sold any bonds this year, we didn't. But if you look at this, I know it's kinda, it's their little formula thing that they did, and you go all the way down to the bottom, and it shows what we had in our account, or to make payments and stuff, the 41,000 and all, it shows the 174,000, the 203, we have some other funds coming in that they will roll. So it's just, I guess, it's the way the state keeps up with everybody's bonds in the state of New Mexico and what they're paying on and those kind of things. So that was a form we have to do, and I signed off on it, and got it back to them. But somehow when they send it, it doesn't download here right, because their software's there, but we got it done. It took us like a week or so, because it's supposed to be done last Monday, and I sent it in, but we got that. So I wanted y'all to see that, because I just think that's in, you need to know about our bonds and things like that anyway, because it was in our budget. With our budget for next year, and y'all approved, it's got the money to make sure we have enough money to make our payments, which we do. And then we have a little, some in fund balance for the payments too, so that's kind of showing you this is more of a little fund balance thing kind of deal, to keep us so we don't ever get in the hole and things, so that was good. So I just wanted those 2 extras for y'all to see that, because I had to sign them, I'm gonna show you that too, and I showed Mr. Myers this also, because I think it's very important that we all know, especially on the finances. So there's the end of my financial info. Very good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Love the transparency.
Yes, I always want everybody to know they can come see our books anytime they want to.
That's right.
You're not out of the thing over here. Yeah, talking about my stuff.
And we wanna keep it that way.
That's right. We are gonna keep it that way.
Anything else, any other questions or discussion for financial matters? Moving to action items, A, consideration approval of NMSBA policy 229-232, school facilities teacher residency return to work. We've already got 2 readings on this, so it is an action item tonight.
Madam President, I move that we approve NMSBA policy 229-232, school facilities teacher residency and return to work.
A second. motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve NMSBA policy 229, 232 to 232, school facilities, teacher residency, and return to work. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the policy 229-232, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? NMSBA policy 229-232 has been approved. Moving to consideration and approval of disposal of fixed assets list. We love this.
Oh, here's the big one.
We
Legend
love
for last.
this.
We love this list.
This has been
That's for
The
It's been there forever, it's been.
Huh?
That's for,
a report from our committee, go for it. We have some fingers being.
When we met 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years.
You know, the last thing that I remember about this is we took off everything under the 5,000, and then we were gonna look at, anything over 5,000, and I think that we did, and it was all stuff that we couldn't account for, it's not here. So we don't have any idea what happened to it, was my understanding. But it's either been sold, it's been auctioned, or it's been thrown away.
And we had somebody look for it too,
And we
right?
did.
So, yeah, the auditors actually took a look at this listing also. And, basically, I talked to him last week and he basically said this is something that, should happen, when things need to get rid of. And what's happened here is that throughout the years, things have, and I'm witness to it, you're a witness to it because you saw it yesterday, where, there's just so much junk that's piled up into different rooms. And instead of getting rid of stuff that's broken and no good, that could possibly be a hazard to students or to staff, we throw them in a room, we fill that room up, and then we find another room to fill up until that one's full, then we throw it.
Orders?
Yeah, exactly, okay?
Yes.
And so what our goal is going to be is to try to get rid of stuff as they come up and not wait till one big thing, so then it becomes a big old issue. And so our first effort is to get rid of some of these Suburbans. That's what we're trying to do, to try to avoid, so we never get into another situation like this. But in talking to our auditors, he said, I looked through it, he says, man, all the things that are on there are something that just needs to go. It's something that needs to be done. If it doesn't get approved to get gone, he says it's gonna become a finding, an audit finding. We didn't get it as an audit finding this time because you guys told us that you were in the process of working to get these things in this week. And so, but he did tell me if it's still there when I come back this next year, it will be an audit finding, he said. And it's, he says everything in there, according to what he told me, he says is legitimate and needs to be taken care of.
How do you get rid of it? You just load it up and
No,
throw it away?
well, a lot of the stuff, like we said, we don't, it's gone already.
Yeah,
And
but everything else.
everything else that
It's in those
is there, if anything else, we can, basically, once we delete it, we can just get rid of it. And, you know, that's simple as
And
that.
that's not even necessarily selling or anything. You
No.
can actually just give it.
That's just
right?
stuff that,
This is the.
like, a lot of it was, old, software computers and stuff like that, what are they good for? They're no good for anything.
Nobody
They're
uses
obsolete,
it.
they're no good, there's nothing there, so, you know, it's just, and there's just, this district has a lot of junk.
Well, let's get.
Silly way to say it.
One question that I had was, like, the portables are on the list and all the buildings are on the list, so I'm guessing, are they not supposed to be on this list?
Well, the thing is,
Okay, we put everything on there, the ones that we've already got the other one, y'all did to the committee, that's highlighted yellow. But now we got all this other stuff that's starting to depreciate, that's why, and I'll rerun this list for them with the ones taken off, because you have it, you put everything in depreciation list, and I ran the most current one, so I go back and I'll rerun the 18-19 one, that's what y'all were working off, is 18-19, I just realized
So
that.
Yeah,
how does
it's
that
been,
work?
it's been a few
How
years.
does it-
18-19.
Then how does it work though? But does that take those things off that list?
Well, everything will always be on your depreciation list.
But
Anytime you buy
if those
something,
are on that list and we say we're gonna approve for the disposal of the fixed.
we're approving.
what we just did with selling that one to text line, that's what we can do, we can get rid of them.
Okay,
Yeah,
but how?
You're
do you-
approving that we're allowed
You
to
said
take
it's
up-
buildings.
Yeah,
those in particular completely depreciated out,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, we're gonna take off the list of ones that are
We're just
depreciated.
taking them
Off the list,
list.
we always have,
Okay.
you'll always have a list,
We're not saying,
that this list
Get
is all
rid of
about.
Jim.
No,
Yeah,
You-
that's what-
Cause on the other one, if you look at, yeah, but we said, we got so much stuff on it that has no value.
They're, yeah, they're
Okay.
We're down.
so you're
depreciating
moving
values.
it from one
Neil,
list
this
to
is
another.
Another,
Exactly.
where it's been deleted.
And that's what's
So,
been-
so you'll always have a list with everything on it, but the
Okay.
next time we come with it, it won't be 44 pages hopefully. Cause there's a
Yeah.
bunch of things on it I can get to take off and go, you
Like
always
this
have some
first bunch, like
depreciation.
you're
list.
talking about all these buildings,
Yeah.
they're all depreciated out.
Yeah.
And we'll,
So
and
they'll
then we,
just go to some-
and then we send this to the auditor's office anyway, once.
Yeah.
it goes approved.
Well, once you finish said, they double check and make sure we're doing everything
Well, let's
correctly.
take care of it.
Exactly.
Let's put it to
I
rest.
don't always wanna see this list again.
Yeah, me neither.
I like
We
that.
went- How many times we go over that?
A lot.
Literally, we were given it like, here.
It was
what is
that
this?
thick at
I
one
don't
time,
know.
it was that thick at one time, remember?
Oh, we're gonna
I
try,
got
to-
the first original one, I swear it's that thick.
we're gonna try to avoid that happening.
Ever again.
So is there something we can do for the policy, we do just a yearly?
Well, we should automatically do.
We should just put this on
It
the,
has to be policy.
yeah,
It-
the
it-
board
it-
every
it should
summer.
be on it.
And it's let y'all look
That
at
should
it
be
every
part
summer.
of the
year.
audit
We only get a few
committee.
items to talk about.
Yep.
Should keep that rolling.
This should never happen again.
Right.
This is
Do it on a
just
yearly
put off
basis,
stuff.
provide, yeah.
It's been put off for many, many years.
And we can start the process now as a board
Right.
to every year
Look at it.
eliminate and dispose of
That's what we should
property
do.
that is completely depreciated
That
out.
way you don't have those rooms full of
And how do
stuff.
we remember it each year? How do we
Right.
remember
See,
it
that's
each
what,
year?
I was just telling him, maybe that should be part of the audit committee's responsibility, like, maybe put that into that
Oh,
forum.
President, yeah.
Because the audit committee should not have, just meet once a year
Okay.
And
before
they
the,
can look
during
at
the
that stuff.
audit. I mean, this is something that needs to,
You're saying,
No, they were waving at me again.
Mr. Likable guy.
She waved food at
I
me.
think you're waving, they're waving at all of you, you're just the only one answering.
So ask this to the committee if it's their recommendation.
Oh, okay. So is it the committee's recommendation to the board to approve the disposal of fixed assets?
It is, but I would like to add to that that we do a yearly, return list or keep the list clean. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Keep this up to date, so we don't have this in next week.
And I agree with it.
So is it, who sets the timing of these audit committees meetings, right?
What's that?
So can there be, yes, so if there are quarterly meetings for the audit committee, and if there, I mean, this is something to put on that
Okay.
agenda, okay?
Okay. Yeah, quarterly meeting.
well, John's friend, he was waiting, just walked out, walked back in, I didn't see him, but he walked. that door was-
Okay,
Okay, Madam
Is that
President,
door open?
I need to meet a second.
Madam President, I move that we approve the disposal of fixed assets list and make this a yearly process as a result.
can we add that to it if it's not on the agenda?
Is it-
I think that
Can you
that's-
amend it? Can you amend it?
But would we have to do that back here when we approve the agenda?
Well, here's what we'll do, let's just vote on it, get it done, and then our future meeting, we'll
We'll put
put
it
on the
in,
agenda
put it
for
in.
action item.
There you go.
Put it in,
Have it
Yeah.
a yearly,
Suggestions for future
So
meetings.
we'll have it set in
Okay.
stone?
right, that'd be good.
Okay, Madam President, I rescind that, motion and I make a motion to dispose of fixed assets list.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the disposal of fixed assets list. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the disposal of the fixed asset list, please say aye. All those opposed? The disposal of the fixed asset list has been approved. Moving to items suggested for future meetings.
That's
Go for it.
one.
Okay.
got that down?
Got it down.
Okay.
And then we also wanna give your approval to, do,
Install school vehicles.
use school vehicles.
Yes.
Just for FYI, how many buses do we have that we don't use on a regular basis? Quite a few, because you got 8 buses that you.
Well, there's, that we don't use,
Well,
what, are you
that's
talking
total, how
to,
many?
from, or activity?
No, one's activity, ones that are just school.
Not activities. To drive kids to or from,
Or
or
the ones in this barn back here in the yard.
Any
Any of the buses,
all the
buses,
above.
all buses, do you have any that are like this that you're not using?
I think there's two.
Do you
I
probably?
think there's one that's a lunchbox one, and then the longer one that we used as a substitute for, to and from, we can no longer use it. So I think it's two, but I'll get that information for you to be absolutely sure. But I think it's two of them that Paul told me.
It'll be the same thing.
Yeah, that's
I think
good.
we need to clean some of those
Right.
out.
Okay.
To buy a new one's gonna be
Yes.
rough.
We need that through transportation.
Yeah, we do that, those we do through transportation.
They tell us when we get rid of it, they tell us, no, get rid of it.
The state does that.
The state tells us on all the
Oh, yeah,
buses,
doesn't it have a life
they
of
say you gotta get
7
off,
years?
you gotta get rid of them.
I thought they extended the life of the school bus from 7 to 10 years.
Oh, I
Just
just
wrote-
assumed it was more than that.
I think I said in on
It's
that
10.
legislation.
You're right, it's 10. When they hit 10,
But
Yes,
but
it used to be 7.
There's one bus that's, after this year, I think, loses its life.
right, he said there's one coming up for this next year that they'll make us get rid of. 'Cause that's what she-
And then like with Shirley,
Thing that we
she can buy
lose
that.
our power on.
like with Shirley, they were gonna make her buy a bus,
Yep.
but she combined her routes, so she didn't have to buy a bus. And right now, getting a bus is extra buses, so it's hard.
Well, what about some of these routes that just have one kid in the bus? If they're-
That's why she combined some of them.
That's why she combined, they're starting to let them, but the state has to let them do that, that's what's so weird.
It's the state.
And we give them the numbers to write it.
Cause we pay them to, from mileage and stuff like that, so, so it's crazy the way the state does it, but
Right.
yeah. And then, like I said, if we do go up in enrollment, those numbers are gonna increase there too
Right.
again, so.
And it's kind of weird because like you said, they go pick up one kid, but the possibility 8 could ride because they live in that area if they don't want to ride the bus.
So it's a matter of whether they have them registered on that bus or not.
Right,
And so we have to provide.
they should, if there are changes, we have it.
If that much.
Anything else for future meeting?
Madam
Of course, you guys can always,
Let us know.
Madam President, I move to adjourn.
I second the motion.
it's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
Get- get all the motion, okay.
Well, it's been a pleasure, George.
Yeah, it has been. I've
Probably
enjoyed,
an hour and a half.
I've enjoyed this group. Good group.
He'll forget as the meeting begins.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna call me,
You
and
all
I'm
have no
calling you.
idea.
Well,
No,